Hare. So welcome back to the Bhagavad Gita discussion. We had a short break because of the Gaur Purnima. We are almost at the end of the fifth chapter. I'll just try to recap the fifth chapter and we'll take up the last three verses of the fifth chapter. And anyhow, the last three verses are, at least the last two verses are connected to the next chapter. That is the connection to the next chapter. So in that sense, we will be beginning the sixth chapter today. And that will also give us the connection between chapter 5 and chapter 6. So we saw after Krishna spoke the fourth chapter, the Jnana Vibhaga Yoga, and Krishna's instruction, Yoga Sannyasat, Jnana Sanchina Samshaya, Yoga Sannyasat Karmanam, Jnana Sanchina Samshaya. This is again in the fourth chapter. Again, I would like to show the verse so that you all are very clear about it. Yes. So, yoga sannyasat, you know. So, yoga sannyasa means, oh, okay, 1 minute, let me connect my writer. One second, let me connect my USB. Yes. So, yoga sannyasa karmanam jnana sanchina samshaya. So, Arjuna could not understand this. Yoga means, nishkam karma yoga. Sannyasa means not desiring the fruits, but to do work. And jnana means, we know Gyan here means that, know, uh, through Jnana Yoga, because ultimately, even if one is situated in Gyan, but still Krishna prefers that one perform karma because that studies the Gyan. So Arjuna confused this, he understands sannyas means, to give up work, and be situated in Gyan. And the next verse, Tasmat Ajnana Sambhutam Ristam Jnana Asinatmana Chitvainam Samshayam Yogam, be situated in yoga, Atishta Uttishta Bharata. So get up and fight. So he's telling him to fight. That means to perform Karma Yoga. But here he feels that, he's instructing him, to be in Gyan and renounce the work. So there is the confusion of Arjuna regarding renunciation of work and work in renunciation. I hope now you're very familiar and have understood these two terms. So that is how Arjuna asked this question, you tell me to first take sannyas from karma and then you tell me to do yoga. So then tell me among the two, which is, Shreya, which is, which is better. So here Arjuna is asking the same question to Krishna, which he has asked in the third chapter. But now he's asking the same question, but Krishna is answering, giving a deeper answer. That karma and jnana are not one above the other, but they are equal. In one sense, karma yoga is superior to jnana yoga. And why it is superior? We have seen that from going from action to inaction is difficult. And then from inaction to come to action, which is bhakti yoga, is still more difficult. So that is why Krishna is recommending karma yoga vishishyate. And he is a nitya sannyasi, he's a nitya sannyasi. And those who differentiate, they are bala. And one leads to the other. And both can lead to the same goal. Nishkam karma yoga also leads to liberation. Jnana yoga also leads to liberation. But Nishkam karma yoga is dukkham aptuma yogata. Whereas one who is yoga yukta, he attains Brahman easily. Achirena jigacchati. So then Krishna goes now into the deeper understanding, answering Arjuna how he'll not be entangled in karma if he's fighting in this. By fixing the mind on Atma, karma yoga remains from bondage. We saw this Yoga Yukta Vishuddha Atma, Vijitatma Jina Sarva Bhuta, Kurvanapi na lipete. Although he's engaged in work, but he's not lipate, he's not entangled. And then we saw this famous verse, Naiva Kinchit. And then he does work for, he does actions for the Supreme Lord, Brahmanya Adaya Karmane, with detachment. So he is not lipatena papena, like the lotus. So he explains that. And then he does all this with kayena, manasa, buddhya, and maybe only with the senses. He does karma for Atma Shuddhi. And then he compares Nishkam Karma to Sakam Karma. And then we saw the three doers, which is a very important knowledge, Three doers, we saw this. And then how gradually there is the revelation of the super self. Along with the self, there is a super self. Jnanena tu dadjnanam nesham nashitanam atmana tesham adityavaj jnanam prakashayati tatparam. So the tatparam is very important here. So it reveals the spiritual knowledge of the jiva also and the Lord. And here I spoke about how 5.17 is a very critical verse because the meditation shifts from the Atma to the Paramatma, fixing the mind on the super soul. By fixing the mind on the Atma, the Karma Yogi remains free from bondage, but he cannot attain liberation. To attain a liberation, the Karma Yogi has to meditate on the Paramatma. So that meditation on the Paramatma begins on this verse. And then we saw these verses, how, his vision, what are his characteristics, uh, how he's a Brahmani Tesita, there is no fault in him, Nirdosha. And then he doesn't, rejoice in attaining deer or doesn't become agitated when it is not something unfavorable. He's Asakta Atma, by a sparsha, and he's taking pleasure only in the self, and he's Brahma Yoga Atma, and he's taking pleasure in the Sukham Akshayam Ashnute. Sukham Akshayam Ashnute. And then, in contrast, he doesn't take, being a Buddha, he doesn't take pleasure in senses because there is beginning and end. And it is dukkha yoni. It impregnates happiness when you endeavor to enjoy senses, you impregnate what? Misery. Dukkha yona evate. Then further Krishna speaks about how he is yukta and he is sukhi by tolerating the urges. And then the gradual, how he attains Brahma Nirvanam. We saw the terminology of Brahma Nirvanam, what it means, material perspective, Jnani perspective, and Bhakta's perspective also. We saw Brahma Nirvanam. And attaining Brahma Nirvanam, being free from the dualities, he becomes free from all contamination. So that's what is mentioned. And Kama Krodha Vimuktanam Yatinam Etata Abhito Brahma Nirvanam Vartate Viditarmanam. He becomes free from Kama and Krodha. He endeavors, Yati is a sannyasi, and he realizes the Paramatma and he attains liberation. Further, how this happens is elaborated in the last 6 chapters and especially in the 18th chapter. So that time we will see that. So now we are going to come to the last section here. Now, after explaining how the Karma Yogi fixes his mind on the Paramatma and attains liberation, now 2 verses elaborate on Ashtanga Yoga. Okay, let's take up this. Sparshan kritva bahirбхаям चक्षुश्चैवान्तरभ्रो pranapano samo kritva nasyabhyantaracarino yatendriyamano buddhir munirmokshaparayana vigadicha bhayakrodha yah sada mukta eva sa. That person here keeping the sense objects outside. Sparshan kritva bhair bhayam. Sparshan means here, what does sparshan means according to you all? Let us see. What does sparshan mean? Who will answer? What does sparshan mean? What is the meaning of sparshan? Who will answer? Tukaram Prabhuji. Yes, give me a second. I'm just also. Only one hand has been raised. Yes. Sitaram Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Literal meaning is touch, but in this context, I believe it is the the indriyas, the five
The senses or sense objects?
sense objects. Yes,
It is sense objects.
yes, yes, Prabhu.
Sense objects, these are. Yahi samsparsha jaboga. There also it has come in Bhagavad Gita 2.14. You have to read the word to word meaning in Prabhupada's purports, then everything will become clear. So Indriya come in contact with the senses, come in contact with the sense objects. They sparsh. So this is not a physical touch, but the contact of the eyes with the form or sound. Now you hear some nice music and you try to enjoy that. So keeping the sense objects outside. So it's very clear here. Sparshan is sense objects. Bhayams. Focusing the eyes between the brows. Chakshush Chaivantara bro. So this is, actually the brewer. There is one of it is called as the Agya Chakra. And actually, by focusing on the Agya Chakra, one can, be in the present. You can be in the mode of goodness. So that is the power of, but, it requires a lot of purity of body and purity of mind also to, come to that platform where one can focus. Otherwise, one will get giddiness. And we tried this experiment in our Japa workshops. Many could not handle it. So, so it is Agya Chakra. If you can focus while chanting on the Agya Chakra, that requires that you have, purified the doshas in the body, and the body is quite in the mode of goodness. But if there is passion, then you'll get giddiness and headache and also you cannot handle it. So I don't recommend, because this is very advanced stage. So this is referring to the Ashtang Yogi who has come to Pratyahar. Pratyahar. The fifth stage, you know, in Ashtang Yoga. Focusing on the eyes between the brows, Chakshush Shaivantar bro, equalizing the prana and apana, moving in the nostrils, Nasyabhyantar charino pranapano samo kritva, and thus controlling the senses, mind, and the intelligence. Yat Indriya Mano Buddhi, completely dedicated to liberation. Munira Moksha Parayana. So they are Moksha Parayana, they are not Narayan Parayana. They are what? Moksha Parayana. Thus freed from desire, fear, and anger. Vigat Ichha Bhaya Krodha is ever liberated. Sada Mukteva. He's already liberated. That's what. So Krishna is giving a introduction and a glimpse. He's just giving the glimpse of Ashtanga Yoga. Now, suddenly you might ask, this is, you know, till last few verses, it was speaking about, you know, uh, Nishkam Karma Yogi who is situated in Gyan and how he's self-realized, and now he has realized the super soul. He's meditating on the super soul and Labate Brahma Nirvanam, he's attaining liberation. Then suddenly how this Ashtang Yogi turns into a Gyan Yogi. How this Gyan Yogi turns into an Ashtang Yogi. Now it depends. Now how with the purification of the heart, the higher process is revealed. That is first thing. Secondly, based on his previous inclinations and mentality in this life, he might be attracted to that process of Ashtanga Yoga and he might meet sadhus and associate with Ashtanga Yogis. And that's why he's attracted to Ashtanga Yoga. So, first is the purification because the self is realized, the super self meditation has begun. And meditation on the super self is there even in the path of Gyan Yoga, as I mentioned. And it is a path also there in the Ashtanga Yoga. So like that, Ashtanga Yoga has been revealed here in these two verses. Let's see what Vishwanath Chakravarti has to say. The heart becomes purified by performance of Nishkam Karma Yoga offered to the Lord. So here, now how this path of Ashtanga Yoga is revealed? Because of the purification of the heart. Then arises Gyan, whose subject is the soul, Tvam. Then arises Bhakti for gaining knowledge of the Lord, Paramatma, Tat. So I mentioned within the Gyan, there has to be the Bhakti element to realize the Paramatma. Okay, now I'll ask a simple question. Okay, let's to realize Brahman, which is the Gyan path, and to realize Paramatma, to realize Bhagavan. Okay. To realize Bhagavan, which path we should follow? Let's see. First, let us get this answer. To realize Bhagavan, which is the path we should follow? Shri Lalita Sumukhi Mataji.
Bhakti
Yes.
Yoga, Nishkama Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga.
Nishkama Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga? First you tell me.
Bhakti Yoga.
Okay. That's little with confidence. Okay. This is Bhakti Yoga. Now Shri Lalita Sumukhi Mataji. To realize Paramatma.
To realize
How?
Brahman, Jnana Yoga.
Okay. And then to realize Paramatma.
You tell Prabhuji.
Why? Why I should tell you? You have to tell. I'm asking question to realize Paramatma. You said to realize Brahman Gyan Yoga. So to realize Paramatma what? Which other yoga is left?
Karma Yoga, Nishkama Karma Yoga. Karma
Oh,
Yoga is left.
oh. To realize Brahman,
No,
you need Gyan
no.
Yoga. But to realize Paramatma, you have to go one step down and realize through Nishkam Karma Yoga. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan, right?
Yeah.
So which path it is to realize Paramatma? Which are the okay? Actually, okay. 1 second. Okay, you try. Which path? Okay, Keshavnath Prasad Prabhuji.
Should be Ashtanga Yoga, probably. I think the yogis focus on Paramatma, Super Soul,
Okay,
I think.
Ashtanga Yoga. Okay, okay. Lalita Sumukhi Mataji, you're happy with this answer now? Hare Krishna?
And I don't know. Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not, I feel indifferent Prabhu, but I know for Bhagwan it's Bhakti Yoga. That answer I'm happy with.
Okay, okay. So this answer is
Yeah.
correct. This answer is wrong. This answer is wrong.
Mhm.
Actually, it is only the Bhakti Yoga which is there within the practice of that Gyan,
Yeah, you told
by which they
Prabhuji.
can
Bhakti Yoga
realize the
secondary element.
Paramatma. It is only
Yes.
the Bhakti Yoga which is there as an element in the Gyan by which they can
Yeah.
realize Brahman.
Yes, you told in the last class, Prabhu. Yes.
Yes. It will
Secondary
take a
element without
it
which.
will take a long time, because we take Bhakti Yoga very easily, but with the glory of Bhakti. So it is only by Bhakti one can realize Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. Although they might practice this, and ultimately they are practicing this as a sadhana with one element of bhakti, but that element of bhakti only will make them realize Brahman or Paramatma, first thing. And ultimately, they have to give up, Gyan in the end of their life because Gyan is Sattva, Ashtanga is Sattva. And that bhakti element which is there, by which they can attain Brahman. And the bhakti, only bhakti has to remain. He has to also give up sannyas of this Ashtanga Yoga path. And ultimately, by that bhakti which is there, he will attain Paramatma. So bhakti is supreme and independent. That's the glory of bhakti. Bhakti takes a secondary role here in order to assist the Karma Yogi, the Jnana Yogi and the Ashtanga Yogi. So you have to, very carefully study statement. Then arises bhakti for gaining knowledge of the Lord, Paramatma, Tat. So it's only by bhakti that they can realize Paramatma. I hope now it is clear, right?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Yeah. By the appearance of that knowledge of the Lord, which is beyond the modes, one gains realization of Brahman. So I mentioned to you that the Gyan Yogi also has to meditate on the Paramatma, which was given in Bhagavad Gita 5.12, 5.17, sorry, and he attains realization, of Brahman, Brahman is beyond the three modes, Paramatma is beyond the three modes, and Bhagavan is also beyond the three modes. Bhakti Yoga is beyond the three modes, whereas Gyan and Ashtanga are within the modes. That's why they have to give that up at the end of, their life if they want to be successful. This has been stated in this chapter. So in this chapter, all this has been stated now. Okay, now in 3 verses, 27 to 29, the Lord speaks in abbreviated form what he will explain in the 6th chapter. That the process of Ashtanga Yoga practice after having purified the heart by Nishkam Karma Yoga. So, even for practicing Ashtanga Yoga, one should purify the heart by Nishkam Karma Yoga. Is superior to the process of Gyan Yoga for producing realization of Brahman. Because Paramatma realization is superior to Brahman realization. So the Ashtanga Yoga process is, in one sense superior to Gyan Yoga because there is realization of Paramatma. So, and for both Gyan Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga is the pathway. You have to do Nishkam Karma Yoga and then come to the point of Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. And after Jnana Yoga, there is realization of self, there is realization of the super self, there is meditation on the super self, but it is more of a philosophical process. But if you take to the Ashtanga Yoga with further purification, so the next process is revealed directly in the heart because of the purification of the heart by Nishkam Karma Yoga. That's one thing. And then it depends on his mental inclination, as I mentioned. And then it depends on his association he might get with some particular sadhus. So that's what I mentioned. The word sparshan touches stands for all the sense objects, sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. So for all, sparshan it is, touches, it's a bahuvachan. It is plural. In Sanskrit, it is called as bahuvachan. So it stands all the 5 sense objects. Externalizing these from the mind when they enter, that is withdrawing the mind from the sense objects. This is pratyahar, very advanced stage. Placing the eyes between the eyebrows. With half closed eyes, the yogi should fix his glance between the brows in order to prevent both sleep and wandering eyes. So I've been propagating quite a lot in the japa seminars that, you cannot keep your eyes closed as long as we're a very not advanced stage. Because if you keep your eyes closed, you will go to sleep or you will go into mental images and you will be drifted away from the holy name. And if you keep on your eyes wide open also, what happens? The senses are in contact with the sense objects. So there's constant bombardment and you're not able to hear the holy name. So it's a great art that we should utilize this in our chanting. By extinguishing the upward and the downward motions of the prana and apan, which move in the nostrils through inhaling and exhaling, one makes them equal. This is all the yoga technique of breathing. By that means the senses, mind, and intellect are brought under control. This is balancing, the body so that, everything is still, and your yata chitendriya kriya. Okay. Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Oh Arjuna, the heart becomes purified only by Nishkam Karma Yoga in connection with me. Because Nishkam Karma Yoga is offered to the Supreme. After purifying the heart, one attains perfect knowledge or Gyan. This is the means to attain Tad Padarth, the absolute truth, Brahman. The experience of the absolute truth of Brahma gradually develops by performing devotion to Supreme Lord in perfect knowledge, Jnana Sarup Bhakti, and by acquiring that knowledge that is beyond the three modes of material nature. So there is that bhakti, which is beyond the three modes, and that's why you can attain Brahman, which is also beyond the three modes. I have explained this to you previously. So this is exactly verbatim what Vishwanath Chakravarti also is saying. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur is putting in his own words and he is using these terms, Tat Padartha and Jnana Swarupa Bhakti. Now, for one whose heart has been purified, I'll explain Ashtanga Yoga as a means to realize Brahman, the absolute truth. Now, here Brahman means what? Okay, let's see who will answer. Brahma. Brahma is masculine in gender. Brahman is feminine. Brahmi is feminine. So Brahma is mentioned. So here it refers to what? Sri Lalita Sumukhi Mataji.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
It's very simple.
Paramatma.
You can take a deep breath.
Paramatma.
With a lot of caution and yes, Ashtanga Yoga means Paramatma. It has to be Paramatma. So Brahma is the absolute truth. And Brahma can refer to Brahman. It can refer to Paramatma. And it can refer to Bhagwan. But based on the context, here in this context, it is Paramatma. I am presenting statements just to give an idea of this. Please listen. The external forms of sound, touch, form, taste, and smell are to be completely removed from the mind. This practice is called Pratyar because it is Ashtanga Yoga. While practicing control of the mind in this way, fix the eyes between the eyebrows and look at the tip of the nose. By completely closing the eyes, there is possible of falling asleep, and by completely giving them, there is possibility of being distracted by external objects. This is what I mentioned. One should therefore control the eyes by keeping them half closed in such a way that one's vision falls between the eyebrows and the tip of the nose. You can try this, and if you try doing this for even few minutes, 2-3 minutes, you'll start getting dizziness. You cannot, because our consciousness is wandering everywhere throughout the day. So it requires a very sattvic lifestyle and a high level of sattva guna, to do this. So that's why devotees, as long as they don't practice sattvic activities, sattvic lifestyle, sattvic food, prasad, I mean, especially sattvic prasad, among all, I would suggest, it's not going to be easy. Otherwise, making advancement in Krishna consciousness is not going to be easy. Breathing through the nostrils, one should regulate the upgoing breath and the downgoing breath that is not bread. Okay, now how do I? Okay. Office. Okay, I'll change this a little later. I'm not able to. I don't know why, how to do this. I'll have to ask a special person who knows how to. Yeah. So here I'm not able to do it, use the mouse. So this is breath. I will change it a little later. So that the upward and the down movement is balance. So this is balance, Balancing is very important so that sages aiming at liberation, mukti, thus seat themselves in this way, controlling senses, mind, and intelligence. Yata chitta indriya kriya. And give up desire, vigat ichha bhaya krodha, with the aim of realization, Brahman, realizing Brahma. Brahma here again is Paramatma feature. In this way, they can attain complete deliverance from material bondage. Munir Moksha Parayana. Thus, a part of practice of Nishkam Karma, its limb Ashtanga Yoga has been practiced, can also be practiced. So now how is the connection with the sixth chapter? This is very important for us to understand that the Nishkama Karma Yogi in his advanced stage, he also starts practicing certain limbs of Ashtanga Yoga because his inclination is there, the purification of the heart is there. So that's what will come up in the sixth chapter. And remember, he's still a Nishkam Karma Yogi, who has taken up to the practices of limbs of Ashtanga Yoga. He's not fully into Ashtanga Yoga. There's a gradual transition which is happening, and that will come up in the sixth chapter also. Okay, let's take up the last verse. Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridam sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. This is a very famous verse which Prabhupada, used it in a very, very, completely from a different angle or a very unique angle. That's what an acharya is. He used it as a peace formula. So if you're not peaceful, there are three reasons why you're not peaceful. Because you're still in the consciousness of an enjoyer. Second is, I am the Lord of what I survey, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. And third, this is very subtle. This is the deepest, subtlest. Sometimes, I think I am the well-wisher of my family. I am the well-wisher of my children. I am taking care of them. You become their well-wishing person, and unnecessary we take anxiety and, we are because still in the controller mode. So this is very subtle. So Prabhupada uses this as a peace formula. But here, Vishwanath Chakri Thakur, gives a completely different understanding of this verse. He connects all the paths, Nishkam Karma Yoga, Gyan Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. But this one verse can also only be referred to Bhakti Yoga. So that I will speak a little later, but let's see what Vishwanath Chakra Thakur has to say. Knowing me, Gyatva Mam, who is the object of worship of the Karmis and Gyanis, who do sacrifice and penance. So the Karmis who perform Nishkam Karma Yoga, they do sacrifice and they consider the Lord as Bhokta. And because they want enjoyment, the Lord, you are the Bhokta, and we are doing this yajna. So the Karmis want to enjoy this world, na? So he is the Lord, he is the Bhokta, And the Jnanis perform penance, tapasam, yajna, tapasam, they do tapasya. So for the Karmis, the Lord is the Bhokta. And that's why they do yajna, because they want to enjoy. The Jnanis, they, they do what? Tapasya, tapasam. Because they want to deny the senses or demonize the senses, because they say if I enjoy the senses, I'll get entangled, right? So that is their worldview. And then the object of the yogis is Paramatma, So this is the yogis. The yogis, what they are? Sarvaloka Maheshwara. I'm just writing here, Sarvaloka Maheshwara. So what they do? He is the object of the, yogis. Object of yogis worship as Paramatma. Sarvaloka Maheshwara is Paramatma. Paramatma feature. He's Sarvalok. He's the Lord of this universe, the Virata Purusha. Meditation on the, Virata Purusha, the universe also invented. And there is a subtle also. There is a Sthula and the Sukshma. And the object of worship for the devotees, bhaktas. Bhaktas, the friend of the living entities by giving instructions on bhakti. This is very, 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 unique, you know, translation of Vishwanath Chakravarti. Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. He's actually the friend of all the living entities. Hmm? This Ashtanga Yogi attains Shanti Mrichati, actually. So this Ashtanga Yogi now attains. So the Ashtanga Yogi chooses this one among all. So this is what Vishwanath Chakravarti is saying. And actually, this also gives a glimpse of the Lord in his majestic feature. Who is the Lord? The Lord is Bhokta. He's Sarva Loka Maheshwara, and he's the Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. A vision of the Supreme Lord is given in this one verse as the Bhokta of all yagyas and all tapasyas, and Sarva Loka Maheshwara, he's the Lord of all the planets and the universes, and is the well-wisher of all living beings. So in that sense, it gives a glimpse of Bhakti Yoga, which is going to come from chapter 7 to 12. Okay, so let's go into this verse explains that yogis who act in this way by obtaining knowledge of Paramatma through Bhakti, like the Gyanis, attain liberation. Now here again, mark. Now, again, let me ask so that to clarify how well you have understood. How does an Ashtanga Yogi realize the Paramatma? By the process of Ashtanga Yoga or Nishkama Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga or Bhakti Yoga? Who will answer? The Paramatma feature of Brahman, of Brahma, how does he realize? By the process of Ashtanga Yoga or Nishkama Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga or Bhakti Yoga? Who will answer this? Okay, we'll ask Keshavnath Prasad Prabhuji.
Bhakti Yoga, Prabhuji, that is required.
Clear. So we have to mark the statements. It's only that bhakti which is present in that practice of Ashtanga, only by that he can realize the Paramatma. Why? Can you tell me what is the reason? Why? Why bhakti reveals Paramatma? Bhakti path reveals Brahman and bhakti reveals Bhagwan only. Not why Gyan cannot reveal Brahman and why Ashtanga cannot reveal Paramatma? Tell me what is the reason? Keshavnath Prasad Prabhuji.
Yeah.
What is the reason?
Have you? Okay, I'll just think about it because I don't remember if you have answered that in the previous classes.
I have not
Because
answered it. That's
okay,
why.
because I think it is by the mercy only, and within the
Mercy. Okay.
because in the Gyan path and the
There is no
Ashtanga
mercy
Yoga path,
there.
it's more of a self.
No,
I
but still,
think,
you need the mercy of the sadhus. He has
yeah,
to be under the sadhus. He has to surrender to the sadhus. Tadvidhi pranipatena is there in all the paths. That is
yeah,
applicable everywhere. Sri Lalita Sumukhi Mataji. What is the reason? That's only bhakti which is going to reveal Brahman or Paramatma.
Prabhu, I don't know whether it's right. I'll just try, Prabhu. Only bhakti will give higher realizations, Prabhu. But you said it's the secondary component, it's present in everything, only that will give different realizations of the higher levels of different features of the Lord.
Why bhakti will give? That's what is my question to you. Why bhakti will give?
Because
And why
bhakti is
not
most
Gyan?
sublime, it is the topmost.
How it is topmost? You have to tell us. Why? What is the reason? Yes, Navneet Kalra Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Danvat. Because bhakti is gunatit, it's transcendental. Only a transcendental
Yes.
can give.
Yes. Bhakti is gunatita. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjana. Brahman is transcendental. Paramatma is transcendental and Bhagavan is also transcendental. And it is one truth, Advayam. And how can something which is Sattva reveal something which is Sutta Sattva? So that is the reason. Excellent. Okay. Clear, na? All of you are clear. I am the guardian, Bhuktaram, of the Yajna, of the Karma Yogis, and the austerities, Tapasam, of the Jnanis. That means I am the object of worship of the Karma Yogis and the Jnanis. So the Lord is the object of worship of the Karma Yogis and Jnanis. I am the great controller of all people, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, the Paramatma, the object of worship of the Ashtanga Yogis. So this universe, is the Virat Purusha of the Lord. So the yogis meditate on that Ashtanga Yogis. I am the friend of all living entities, all entities. I am the person who gives benefit to all entities by instructing about bhakti through the medium of my devotees. Out of my mercy, I am the object of worship for the devotees. So the Lord gives instruction about bhakti. And how? Through his devotees. And only when we get the devotee mercy, we can get bhakti. So that's how he acts as a well-wisher. Brahmande Brahmete Kono Bhagyavan, Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Paye Bhakti Lata Beach. So the Lord in the heart sees that this devotee is looking for me. So then he'll direct you to a spiritual master. And that spiritual master gives his kripa. Then you get bhakti. So bhakti is only got by the mercy of the spiritual master, the guru, the sadhu. So that's why he is the object of worship for the devotees. One cannot attain realization of B who is beyond the modes by sattva guna gyan. So this is come now here, answer. Whether in the Brahman feature or in the Paramatma or Bhagavan feature, they are all gunatita. So sattva guna gyan you cannot do. I have said that I am attainable only by bhakti. Bhaktya aham ekaya grahya. This we have to understand and study Uddhav Gita. That's why very carefully. In the same way, the yogi only by bhakti, which is beyond the modes, by realizing me as Paramatma, Gyatma Mam. So Gyatma Mam refers to the yogi now here, and only by bhakti, the object of his worship attains liberation, Shantim. So Shantim here refers to, he attains liberation from the cycle of birth and death. So I hope it is very, very clear now to the devotees. This chapter explains that Gyan and the yogi by Nishkam Karma Yoga attain liberation after realizing both Atma and Paramatma. So the Jnani also has to attain realization of both Atma and Paramatma. And the yogi also has to do that. And then only liberation is possible. Without realization of the Paramatma, there is no question of liberation. By only realizing Atma, they can be free from bondage. So I hope it is clear. And here I mentioned that verses 20 to 29 describe the characteristics. These are naturally possessed by Siddha, but they have to be consciously cultivated by sadhakas. And why I'm mentioning this is that please read the Bhaktivedanta purports for these 20 to 29 and you'll find that Prabhupada is speaking at a very, very transcendental level because he's speaking from the Siddha level. And we have to somehow as sadhakas come to that platform, transcendental platform. So Prabhupada speaks about that in his purports. Very, very lofty, Sarva Bhuta Hite Rata, I'm just showing you a glimpse of it. Let me see, where is Veda base? Okay, 1 second. I'm just showing a glimpse so that you are very clear about it. Just showing you one purport. Sarva Bhuta Hite Rata. So please carefully see, this is referring to a Jnanogi who has realized the Paramatma and he attains liberation, Brahma Nirvanam. But Prabhupada is speaking about, from a bhakti perspective. He says only a person who is fully in Krishna consciousness can be said to be engaged in the welfare work of all living entities. Sarva Bhuta Hitertha. He's referring to actually an Uttamadhikari, if you see. When a person is actually in knowledge that Krishna is the fountainhead of everything, that then when he acts in that spirit, he acts for everyone. The sufferings of humanity are due to forgetfulness of Krishna as the supreme enjoyer, the supreme proprietor, and the supreme friend. Prabhupada is already quoting 5.29. Therefore, to act, to revive this consciousness within the entire humanity is the highest welfare. Sarva Bhuta Hitartha. One cannot be engaged in such first-class welfare work without being liberated in the supreme. Labhate Brahma Nirvanam. A Krishna conscious person has no doubt about the supremacy of Krishna. He has no doubt because he is completely free from all sins. Prabhupada is speaking about, Rishaya, Shina, Kalmasha. This is a state of divine love. So Prabhupada is speaking about a very exalted state. A person engaged only in ministering the physical welfare of man cannot be factually help everyone. Temporary relief of the external body and the mind is not satisfactory. The real cause of one's evil is in the hard struggle of life may be found in one's forgetfulness of his relationship with him. When a man is fully conscious of his relationship with Krishna, he is actually a liberated soul, although he may be in the material tabernacle. Prabhupada says when he is actually a liberated soul. So devotees, try to read Prabhupada purports from this perspective also. I just took this just to make it understand how Prabhupada is presenting it from the Bhakti perspective. So you have any questions on this purport first, and then we will take up questions on what we have discussed, these 3 verses. First, let me see if you have any questions on this purport. We want to thoroughly understand the Bhaktivedanta purports also. Our purpose of studying this Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary is to actually more dive into the Bhaktivedanta purports. That's the real purpose. So let's do a test. Nandini Mataji, you're there?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Read this first statement.
Only a person who is fully in Krishna consciousness can be said to be engaged in the welfare work for all living entities.
So what does this mean, this statement?
The true welfare uh, for the living entities is to
No. Just
means a
try.
person who is fully conscious of his position, like he is a servant of Krishna, he is Krishna
Fully
conscious.
conscious about himself and fully conscious about Krishna.
Yeah, only
So,
then he can do the actual welfare, which is
correct.
like
That
giving
is
Krishna
what it
consciousness.
means. No?
Yeah.
So this is what, and then Prabhupada he's mentioning here, read this.
One cannot be engaged in such first class welfare work without being liberated in the Supreme.
So what does this mean?
Means if you want to be do good to engage in the first class welfare work, means the topmost service, then first oneself should be that realized about Krishna.
What is Prabhupada saying, you tell me? I don't want your statements. What is Prabhupada saying, you tell me?
Yeah, means what I understood is this only, Proji, ki one cannot be engaged in such first class work, welfare work, without being liberated in the Supreme. So only one who is realized and liberated in Supreme, only
Yes.
that person can be actually do some welfare work for others.
Welfare work. Now, welfare work can be at the level of body, at the level of mind, but the welfare work at the soul can be done only by that soul who is already in relationship with Krishna. That means you should have realized your relationship with
Krishna first.
Krishna. Are you getting this point?
Yes, Proji.
Then, this is very clear.
A Krishna conscious person has no doubt about the supremacy of Krishna He has no doubt because he is completely freed from all
All
sins.
sin, that is
This
the
is
state
the
of.
state of divine love.
So if you see, what stage of bhakti is Prabhupada speaking here? There are 9 stages of bhakti beginning with Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Anarth Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava and Prema.
Hmm.
Which stage you can correlate this to?
So freed from all sins, matlab it's like above ruchi or nishtha.
Mhm.
Nishtha, asakti, that stages, which means freed from all sins.
So here one thing you have to understand that a first class welfare work without being liberated and supreme, here it can refer to the beginning stage of Nishtha, but actually, liberated is Bhava.
Hmm.
And भिद्यन्ते हृदय ग्रंथि छिन्द्यन्ते सर्व संशय श्रीयन्ते चास्य कर्माणि दृष्ट एव आत्मनि ईश्वरे 1 to 21, Bhagavatam, so छिन्द्यन्ते सर्व samshaya, so that is, prema, the stage of prema, and Prabhupada is speaking about divine love here. This is prema stage. So it is referring basically to bhava and prema stage, this one. And definitely you can also stay beginning of Nishtha stage, because Nishtha one is liberated, one is self-realized. But realization of his relationship with the Supreme happens only at the stage of Bhava. The cultivation happens in Ruchi and Asakti stage, which is part of Raganuga sadhana. So you can see how deep is Prabhupada's purport on this. Okay. So this is how, we are trying to go through these Acharya's commentaries so that we can clearly understand and appreciate Prabhupada's purports. Okay. So I'm just summarizing what we have studied in the 5th chapter. Krishna equates Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga as a preface to introduce Bhakti Yoga, which is a natural elevation from Karma Yoga. That's why he surpasses Jnana Yoga, and that's why he says Karma Yoga Vishishyate. The troublesome phase of going from action to inaction and then returning from inaction to action is thus bypassed. So we bypass that. Arjuna thinks inaction is higher than action, Karma Yoga. Here he says that both are equal because both lead to the same result. 4th and 5th verse. By the end of the Gita, Arjuna's understanding of the ladder will be reversed with action, Bhakti Yoga, being declared as the higher than inaction, Jnana Yoga, because Bhakti Yoga leads to a higher result, Bhagavan, then Jnana Yoga, Brahman. So at the end of Gita, this will happen. Okay. So that completes chapter 5. And if you have any questions, clarifications, I wanted to begin chapter 6 today. But nonetheless, it was very important that we thoroughly understand the subject. And that's why I took some time. Okay, so any questions, any clarifications you have about this, what we have discussed up till now? Any questions, any clarifications you have? Fifth chapter. Should we start 6th chapter? But I don't want to start a new chapter where any questions you have? Any questions, any clarifications? Okay, then. So then we will stop here. It's time up also. And tomorrow we will begin with the 6th chapter. And we'll continue for a week and finish the 6th chapter and then go to the middle 6 chapters, which we will take a 2 weeks break so that devotees can revise everything. And we'll have the overview of chapters 1 to 6 before we start. Actually, we'll have overviews of each chapters so that we become more thorough. And then we will start with the middle 6 chapters in 2 weeks from now, after we finish in next week the chapter 6. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna.